the twin suns of the desert world burned high in the pale sky. The sand stretched in every direction, shifting like waves on an endless sea. A caravan moved slowly across the dunes, long lines of beasts carrying goods, guarded by soldiers with tall spears. At the front of the caravan walked a human guide, a man named Tamash. Tamash was not from this world. He had come years ago, stranded when his ship failed above the desert. Instead of giving up, he learned the ways of the land. He studied the stars and the wind. He learned to read the marks in the sand that told him where water could be found. Traders and nobles paid him to guide them across the wastes, for no one knew the desert paths better than he did. That day, the caravan was different from the usual groups of merchants. This one carried banners of gold and red, fluttering in the wind. At its heart was a covered carriage decorated with bright stones and long ribbons. Tamash knew at once that someone of high rank was traveling with them. The guards walked with extra pride, and the servants hurried with nervous faces. As the sun began to set, Tamash raised his hand to stop the caravan. He pointed toward a cluster of tall rocks ahead. The shade there would protect them through the night. The guards repeated his command, and the whole company moved toward the rocks to make camp. Fires were lit, tents were raised, and the animals were tied near the shade. Tamash stood apart, watching the sky grow darker. He was not part of their noble company. His place was outside, where he could see the stars and feel the wind. He knelt by the sand and drew lines with his finger, marking the path for the next day. From the great carriage, a figure stepped down. At once, servants rushed to spread a carpet on the sand and hold a canopy above her head. She ignored their fussing and walked forward with calm grace. She wore a flowing dress of silver threads that caught the fading light, and on her brow rested a small crown. Tamash recognized her at once, though he had never seen her so near. It was Princess Alara, daughter of the ruling family of this world. The princess looked around the camp as if she were searching for someone. Her eyes, bright and sharp, fell on Tamash. To the surprise of her guards, she walked toward him without waiting for ceremony. Tamash rose to his feet, bowing his head out of respect. "You are the guide," she said. Her voice was clear, yet gentle. "Yes, princess," Tamash answered. "I lead the caravan safely." "I have heard of you," Alara said. "A man not of our people, yet trusted by many." Tamash felt the eyes of the guards on him. He chose his words with care. "I only walk the desert and know its paths. That is enough for me." The princess studied him for a moment, then asked, "What land do you call your home?" Tamash hesitated. Few ever asked him such a question. Most cared only that he knew the desert. "I came from far away," he said. "A place of blue skies, green fields, and wide rivers. It is a world of many voices and many people." Alara's expression softened. "It sounds beautiful. Here, everything is sand and stone. Sometimes I wonder if life could be different beyond our stars." Tamash gave a small smile. "Every land has its hardships, princess. Even green fields can turn dry, and rivers can flood. What matters is how people endure." The princess tilted her head, curious at his words. "You speak with calmness, as if the storm does not trouble you." "The storm comes whether I fear it or not," Tamash replied. "Better to prepare and walk forward than to tremble." For the first time, Alara laughed, a quiet sound like water over smooth stones. The guards shifted uneasily, surprised to hear their princess laugh in the presence of a human guide. "You are not like the others I know," she said. "They bow and flatter, but you speak plain words." I only speak as I see, Princess, Tamash answered. Night grew deeper, and the stars filled the sky. The fires of the camp burned bright, and music rose from the servants' tents. Still, the princess lingered beside Tamash. She asked about the stars above, and he pointed out the patterns he had learned, showing her how to guide a path by their light. She listened with interest, her eyes shining as she followed his hand across the sky. Our people look at the stars only for omens, she said. But you read them like a map. To me, they are friends, Tamash said. When I was alone in the desert, they were my only companions. They never change, and they always return. For a long time, the princess was silent. Then she said softly, "Perhaps I envy you." Tamash looked at her with surprise. "Envy me, princess? I have nothing but the sand under my feet." "You have freedom," she said. "I am bound by duty and title. Every step I take is chosen for me. You walk where you will. Even if you are alone, you are free." Tamash had no answer. He bowed again, showing respect. "I will always guide you safely, princess. That is my task." Alara's gaze lingered on him, thoughtful and searching. Then she turned back toward her carriage. The servants hurried to surround her again, but she lifted her hand, telling them to wait. Before she left, she looked once more at Tamash. "I thank you for speaking with me," she said. "Perhaps tomorrow, if you do not mind, you will tell me more of your world." Tamash nodded. "If it pleases you, princess." She gave him one last smile and returned to her carriage. The guards followed close, whispering among themselves. Tamash sat down again on the sand, staring at the stars above. His life had been quiet and solitary for many years, yet he felt that something had shifted. The desert was the same, the stars were the same, but the meeting with the princess had stirred a new path in his heart. As the camp settled into rest, Tamash lay beside the fire he had built. The sound of distant music faded, and the wind moved gently over the dunes. The stars watched in silence, ancient and patient. Tamash closed his eyes, wondering what the next day would bring, and why the princess of all people would wish to speak to him again. The sun rose slowly over the desert, painting the sky with red and gold. The caravan prepared for another long day of travel. Servants hurried to take down tents, guards polished their weapons, and traders checked their loads of cloth and spices. The sound of voices and clattering tools filled the air. Tamash was awake before most. He had walked to the top of a dune while the sky was still pale, studying the horizon. The desert could be dangerous, and he always checked for signs of raiders or storms. When he was satisfied, he returned to the camp and gave orders on the path they would take. As he passed near the royal carriage, he felt many eyes on him. The guards watched with stern faces, and the servants whispered behind their hands. They had all noticed how the princess had spoken with him the night before. Some of them disapproved, others were simply curious. Tamash ignored them. His duty was to lead the caravan safely, not to please the nobles. Later, when the caravan was moving, Princess Alara asked for her carriage to be opened. She wished to ride on one of the tall desert beasts instead. Her attendants hesitated, but she insisted. Soon she was seated high on the animal's back, dressed in a lighter gown of white cloth, her silver crown replaced by a simple band. She guided the beast forward until she reached Tamash, who walked at the front. "Good morning, guide," she said with a calm smile. Tamash bowed slightly. "Good morning, princess. I thought you would tell me more of your world," she said. Tomash walked beside her beast, keeping his eyes on the horizon. There is much to tell. What would you like to know? The princess leaned forward, curious. Tell me about the rivers. You said they are wide. How wide are they? Wider than this caravan, princess, Tomash answered. Sometimes so wide you cannot see the far side. The water moves like a living thing, always flowing. Children play on its banks, and boats carry people from one town to another. Her eyes lit with wonder. I cannot imagine so much water. Here we guard every drop. Our people have never seen such a river. Tomash nodded. That is why I still remember it. When I was a boy, I would sit by the river and listen to its voice. It was always changing, yet always the same. The princess was silent for a moment, picturing it in her mind. Then she asked, what about the trees? Do they truly cover the land? Yes, Tomash said. Forests of green stretch for miles. In summer, the leaves shine in the sun, and in autumn, they turn gold and red. The air is cool under their shade, and birds sing from the branches. Alara closed her eyes, as if she could feel the shade on her skin. When she opened them again, there was a softness in her gaze. It sounds like a dream. I wonder if I shall ever see such a place. Tomash kept his tone even. Perhaps one day, princess. The stars are wide, and paths between worlds can be found again. The princess gave him a long look, then turned her gaze to the desert. Tell me, Tomash, why did you not return to your own world? Surely you wish to go back. His step slowed for a moment, but he quickly steadied himself. I had no choice. My ship was broken beyond repair. I had no way to send for help. So I stayed. The desert became my home. Do you not feel lonely? She asked softly. Sometimes, Tomash admitted. But I found purpose here. Guiding others gives me strength. The desert is harsh, but it also teaches patience. The princess lowered her head, thoughtful. For a time, they traveled in silence, the only sound the steady steps of the beasts and the wind over the sand. At midday, the caravan stopped to rest near a cluster of flat stones. Servants set up awnings to shield the nobles from the heat. The guards formed a circle, watching for danger. Tomash stood apart, scanning the horizon as always. He had just taken a sip of water when he heard the princess's voice behind him. Will you sit with me, guide? She asked. Tomash turned. Alara sat beneath the shade of a large cloth, a small table before her with fruit and bread. Several attendants stood nearby, clearly uneasy with her request. Princess, I am not of noble rank, Tomash said. It would not be proper. She smiled. I asked, not as a command, but as a wish. You saved many lives in the storm yesterday. You are welcome here. The attendants whispered, but none dared to stop her. Tomash hesitated, then sat at the edge of the shade, keeping a respectful distance. The princess offered him a piece of fruit. Taste this. It was brought from the eastern gardens. Tomash accepted it with a bow. The fruit was sweet and cool, a rare gift in the desert. You see, Alara said, watching him, you sit as if afraid. Yet last night you spoke without fear. Why now? Tomash looked at her calmly. Because others watch, princess. They will not understand. She leaned forward, lowering her voice. Let them watch. I am a princess, but I am also a person. Am I not allowed to speak with one who interests me? Tomash met her gaze but said nothing. Alara smiled faintly. That silence tells me more than words. The rest of the day passed with the caravan moving steadily across the dunes. When evening came, they stopped near a line of cliffs. The fires were lit again, and music drifted in the air. The princess appeared once more, walking toward Tamash as he marked the stars. "You still read the sky each night," she said. "It shows the way," Tamash replied. "Without it, we are lost." "Then teach me," she said firmly. So he showed her the constellations, pointing out the shapes and their paths. She repeated the names he gave, her voice quiet but eager. For hours, she stayed beside him, asking question after question. At last, when the night grew deep, she whispered, "You carry another world inside you, Tamash. I want to understand it." He looked at her, seeing not just a princess, but a woman searching for freedom beyond her duties. The desert wind moved softly between them, carrying the promise of days yet to come. The caravan moved steadily across the desert, the sands stretching endlessly beneath the twin suns. Tamash walked at the front, his eyes scanning the dunes for any sign of danger. He knew the desert could be treacherous. Sudden sandstorms, hidden cliffs, and wild creatures could strike without warning. Every traveler relied on him, but none more than the princess, who rode high upon her beast, her silver band shining in the sunlight. Princess Alara had grown quiet during the morning hours, watching Tamash as he guided the caravan with steady confidence. She was fascinated by the way he understood the desert. Every turn, every small ridge, he knew what waited beyond it. To her, this skill was not just useful, it was extraordinary. She had never met someone so calm and skilled in her life. By midday, the heat became harsh. The servants laid out awnings and spread water for the animals. Tamash checked the paths once more before kneeling to inspect a small rise in the sand. His hands moved with practiced care, marking safe steps and points of warning for the caravan. Alara watched him closely, the curiosity in her eyes growing stronger. "Why do you study the sand so carefully?" she asked when she was close enough. Tamash straightened and looked at her. "Every mark tells a story, princess. Tracks of animals, signs of hidden water, soft patches where the sand may shift. If I miss one, someone could fall, or worse, a beast may find us." Alara leaned forward, her hands resting on the reins of her beast. "It is amazing to see you work. No one in my court could notice such details. They see only what is in front of them." He shook his head slightly. "The desert does not forgive carelessness. Every traveler must learn to pay attention. That is how they survive." She smiled, a quiet lightness in her expression. "You are different, Tamash. Even when danger is near, you do not hurry or show fear. You move like the desert itself, steady and patient." Tamash looked at her but did not answer. His focus remained on the horizon. He had learned long ago that words alone did not always matter. Actions were what people remembered. The sun climbed higher, and suddenly the sky darkened as a sandstorm approached from the west. The winds whipped across the dunes, and the caravan braced itself. The animals stamped and bellowed, frightened by the roar of the storm. Servants shouted and scrambled to secure tents, while guards struggled to keep the beasts in line. "Quickly, follow me," Tamash shouted. He pointed to a line of rocks visible through the swirling sand. "We will find shelter there." The princess's beast moved closer to him, guided by the ropes Tamash held. Even in the storm, she trusted him completely. The guards tried to keep pace, shouting orders, but many of them stumbled or lost their footing in the shifting sand. Tamash led the way, moving with certainty. He knew the desert like the back of his hand. Every step was deliberate, every gesture precise. Soon, the caravan reached a small cavern hidden beneath the rocks. Tamash guided the beasts inside, helping the servants and the princess to safety. Inside the cavern, the wind's roar became a distant howl. The sandstorm could not reach them here. Tamash unfastened the princess from her beast and helped her step down. She looked around, her silver band now dusty but still gleaming. "You are brave," she said quietly. "None of my guards could have led us through that storm as you did." Tamash shook his head. "I only know the desert. It does not forgive mistakes, so I must be careful." Alara studied him, her eyes reflecting the flickering firelight from a small lamp a servant had lit. "It is more than carefulness. You protect, and you guide. You think of others before yourself." For the first time, Tamash allowed himself a small smile. "It is my duty, princess. And I believe in doing what is right." The princess sat on a smooth rock, brushing sand from her gown. She watched Tamash as he helped secure the caravan, his hands steady even in the chaos. "I have never met a man like you," she said softly. He looked at her, not fully meeting her eyes. "I am not extraordinary. I only act as I must." "You are extraordinary," she insisted. "Even your silence has meaning. Even your patience has weight. In my court, no one can teach what you teach in one act of calm." Tamash felt a small warmth in his chest at her words, but he remained quiet. He had learned long ago that praise could be dangerous. Respect earned through action mattered far more than words. As the storm subsided, the caravan emerged slowly from the cavern. The sun was low in the sky, casting long shadows over the desert. The sand was smoother now, the winds having erased the rough tracks of the storm. Tamash led the caravan again, keeping a steady pace, while the princess rode beside him, still observing him with curiosity. "Do all humans walk with such courage?" she asked. Tamash shook his head. "Some do, some do not. Courage is learned, princess. It is not born in everyone." She looked at him, thoughtful. "Then you have learned much." He allowed himself a brief nod. "I had to. The desert does not forgive mistakes, and the world outside it is no gentler." By evening, the caravan reached a flat plateau with a small oasis. Water from the spring shone like glass, reflecting the colors of the sunset. Tamash helped guide the animals to drink, while the princess dismounted and walked slowly to the edge of the water. She watched the reflection of the sky and the sands, then turned to Tamash. "Show me how you do it," she said, pointing to the fire he built for the night. "Teach me to guide people and protect them." Tamash looked at her, surprised by her request. Few ever asked to learn what he did. Most trusted him blindly or ignored the ways of the desert. "It takes patience, princess, and careful attention to the smallest details," he said. "It is more than fire or water. It is understanding the world around you." Alara knelt beside him, her hands close to the firelight. "Then teach me," she said simply. And so, Tamash began to show her the small truths of the desert. How to find the direction of the wind, how to read the tracks of animals, how to notice the signs of hidden danger. The princess listened with care, repeating what he said, asking questions, and trying to understand the patterns he saw. By the time night fell completely, they sat together by the fire. The stars above were bright and endless, and for a moment, the desert seemed quiet and still. The princess looked at Tamash with a softness in her eyes. "You are different from anyone I have met," she said. I feel as if I can learn from you, not as a guide, but as a person. Tomasz said nothing, but he knew she understood him. In the silence, a bond began to grow between them. Not a bond of duty or title, but one of respect, trust, and quiet admiration. In the desert, where life was harsh and every day brought new challenges, they had found a connection that neither distance nor difference could break. The desert sun rose slowly over the horizon, spilling golden light across the dunes. Tomasz had already begun his work, checking the caravan's path for hidden dangers. The sands shifted slightly beneath his feet, and he followed the marks of the previous day, noting changes that could signal trouble. Each step mattered in this world, and he moved with steady certainty. Princess Alara had been awake early as well. She rose quietly from her tent, leaving her attendants to prepare breakfast for the caravan. She walked toward the small campfire where Tomasz was examining the sand. Her silver band gleamed in the morning light. "Good morning," she said softly. Tomasz looked up and gave a respectful nod. "Good morning, Princess. I watched you last night," she said. "You moved with such care, teaching me without showing impatience. I wish I could learn like that every day." Tomasz smiled faintly. "Patience comes from necessity, Princess. The desert does not forgive haste. And teaching is easier when someone truly wants to learn." Alara sat beside him, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "Then I wish to learn. Not just about the desert, but about the ways of humans. Tell me of your food and your cooking. I have never tasted it, but I imagine it is different from what my people eat." Tomasz nodded. "I can teach you that. Food is not just for the body. It is a way to bring warmth, comfort, and friendship." He rose and began preparing a small fire. He gathered dry wood and arranged it carefully, striking stone against steel until a spark caught. The flames rose steadily, casting a warm glow across the sand. Alara watched closely, her eyes wide with fascination. "Fire is simple, yet so powerful," she said. "Our people use it only for ceremonies, but you make it a tool for living." Tomasz nodded. "Fire gives warmth and cooks food. It can save lives in the cold night or the storm. It is a companion to those who understand it." He took out small pieces of dried meat and grains from his pack. "This is simple fare, but it will taste good when cooked. We will roast the meat and boil the grains." Alara knelt beside him, helping to arrange the food. Her hands were delicate, yet careful. She watched each step, absorbing every movement as though she were learning a secret language. Tomasz explained how to place the food over the fire, how to watch the flames so nothing burned, and how to stir the grains. When the food was ready, they both tasted it. Alara's eyes brightened with surprise. "It is warm and full of flavor. I have never known anything like this." Tomasz smiled. "That is the gift of fire. It can change simple things into something remarkable." The princess looked around at the camp, noticing the guards and attendants watching them quietly. Some of the servants whispered in amazement. None had seen their princess share a meal so plainly, without ceremony or distance. Alara ignored them. She had found a moment of freedom, learning and sharing with someone who treated her as a person rather than a symbol. As the day continued, Tomasz taught her more about the ways humans cook. He showed her how to boil water, roast vegetables, and mix simple herbs to improve the taste. Alara repeated each action carefully, her focus unbroken. For her, this was more than food. It was a lesson in independence, a glimpse of a life she could choose for herself. "You have a gift," she said as she stirred a pot over the fire. Not just with food, but with teaching. You make it easy to understand. Tomash looked at her calmly. I only show what I know. Anyone can learn if they pay attention and care. The princess smiled, a quiet warmth in her eyes. Then I must pay attention. I want to know everything you can teach me. As the sun climbed higher, the caravan began to move again. Tomash led the way, and Alara rode beside him, practicing what he had taught her. She guided her beast carefully, paying attention to the sand and the slope of the dunes. Her confidence grew with each step. The guards and attendants noticed her new poise, but they said nothing. They had never seen their princess so focused and determined. During the journey, Tomash also taught her about water and survival. He showed how to find hidden springs and how to test water for safety. Alara listened carefully, asking questions and repeating his instructions aloud. Her eagerness impressed him, and he realized she had a mind that could grasp many skills quickly. By evening, the caravan reached a plateau with a small grove of desert shrubs. Tomash gathered dry wood again and built a fire for the night. The princess came to his side, carrying small bundles of herbs she had collected during the day. She sprinkled them over the food he was roasting, and the aroma filled the air. It smells wonderful, she said. I never thought such simple things could be so powerful. Tomash nodded. Cooking is more than flavor. It is patience, attention, and care. It teaches you to notice what is small, yet important. They ate together quietly, the fire casting soft shadows across the sand. The princess spoke of her life in the palace, of the rules and expectations that had always bound her. Tomash listened without interruption, offering small words of understanding. For the first time, she felt heard not as a princess, but as a person. After the meal, they sat by the fire, watching the stars appear in the dark sky. Alara leaned closer to Tomash. I never knew learning could feel like this. You teach not just skills, but confidence. I feel stronger when I am with you. Tomash looked at her, seeing the mix of curiosity and quiet joy in her eyes. That is why I teach, princess. Knowledge gives strength, and strength gives freedom. The desert night grew colder, but the fire kept them warm. Around them, the caravan slept, and the desert was silent except for the whispering wind. Alara rested her hands on her knees, thoughtful. She realized she was learning more than cooking or survival. She was learning trust, patience, and understanding from someone who came from a world very different from her own. In the quiet of the night, Tomash said softly, the desert can teach many lessons, princess. It shows who is careful, who is strong, and who can endure. But the most important lessons are the ones you carry in your mind and heart. Alara looked at him, her eyes reflecting the firelight. Then I will carry them. I will remember what you have taught me and what you have shown me. For the first time, the princess felt a bond forming with a human. It was not a bond of duty or title, but one of learning, respect, and quiet admiration. In the harsh desert, where life was difficult and survival mattered most, they had found a connection that would grow stronger with each shared lesson and each passing day. The desert stretched endlessly under the harsh midday sun. The caravan moved slowly along the sand, Tomash at the front, scanning the horizon for any signs of danger. The princess rode beside him, her eyes alert and curious. The lessons of the past days had taught her more than cooking or fire, she had learned patience, observation, and trust. But not all eyes in the desert were friendly. Far to the west, across a series of dunes, a rival tribe watched the caravan. Their leader, a tall alien warrior named Kiro, frowned as he studied the small group of travelers. He had heard whispers of a human traveling with the princess. To him, humans were unpredictable, dangerous, and not to be trusted. They are near the border, Kiro said to his warriors. A human guides the princess. This cannot be allowed. We cannot let outsiders influence our royal line. The warriors nodded, sharpening their blades and tightening the straps on their armor. They did not speak kindly of the humans. The tribe had long feared that outsiders could bring power to their enemies or disrupt their ways. Kiro's plan was simple: intercept the caravan, scare the human away, and ensure the princess returned safely under their control. Meanwhile, Tomasz noticed subtle changes in the sand. Small tracks, too deep and too sharp to be from the caravan's animals, marked the edges of the path. His senses sharpened, a habit from years of navigating the desert. He slowed the caravan and signaled for the guards to tighten their formation. "Something is following us," he said quietly to Alara. The princess's eyes narrowed. "What is it?" "I do not know yet, but we must be careful," Tomasz replied. "Stay close to the caravan and keep your beast steady." Alara adjusted her grip on the reins. "I trust you, Tomasz. I will do as you say." As the sun climbed higher, the tracks became clearer. Tomasz realized they were being watched. His heart remained calm, but he prepared for confrontation. "Keep moving steadily," he instructed the guards. "Do not panic. Show strength, not fear." The princess watched him, impressed by his composure. "You do not seem afraid," she said. "Fear does not help in the desert," Tomasz replied. "Preparation and focus matter more than panic." By late afternoon, the rival tribe had closed in. From the top of a high dune, Kiro signaled his warriors to descend. They carried long spears and shields, their movements precise and calculated. The caravan's guards tightened their formation, weapons ready. Tomasz stood at the front, calm but alert, assessing the situation. Kiro stepped forward and called out, his voice loud enough for all to hear. "Human, step aside. The princess belongs with her people. Leave her now, or face the consequences." Tomasz met his gaze steadily. "She travels with me by choice. We will not harm anyone, but we will not surrender either." The princess watched silently, her heart racing. She had never seen conflict like this before. Her people had often negotiated disputes, but she had rarely seen direct confrontation in the desert. Yet Tomasz remained calm, a steady figure in the center of chaos. Kiro laughed, sharp and cold. "You are brave, human, but courage alone will not save you. Our tribe is strong, and we will take what we want." Tomasz shook his head slightly. "I do not wish for conflict, but I will protect the caravan. That is my duty." The warriors advanced, but Tomasz did not flinch. He signaled the guards to form a defensive line, their spears angled to create a barrier. He studied the enemy's movements, noting weaknesses in their formation. He whispered instructions to the guards, guiding them to positions where they could defend effectively. The princess's eyes widened as she realized the human's skill in strategy. "He knows exactly what to do," she murmured. "Yes," Tomasz replied softly. "Experience teaches what books cannot." The enemy struck suddenly, rushing forward in a wave. The guards met them with steady force, their spears blocking the first attack. Tomasz moved among them, giving instructions, supporting the weak points, and protecting the animals. The clash was brief but intense. The rival tribe had numbers, but the caravan was organized and disciplined. During the fight, a warrior tried to reach the princess's beast. Tamash stepped between them, using his staff with precise movements to deflect the attacker. Alara held her ground, gripping the reins and staying calm. She realized that Tamash was not just a guide but a protector, someone who could face danger without hesitation. The skirmish lasted only a few minutes. Tamash's calm leadership and the guards' training forced Kiro's warriors to retreat. They fled toward the dunes, shouting threats but unwilling to risk further confrontation. The caravan remained safe, the animals unharmed, and the princess unscathed. Breathing heavily, Alara dismounted and approached Tamash. Her eyes were bright with admiration. "You saved us," she said. "I have never seen such courage or skill." Tamash shook his head slightly. "I only did what was necessary. The desert demands careful action. Panic would have harmed everyone." The princess touched his arm lightly. "No, it was more than that. You think of others before yourself. You do not act for glory or praise. You act because it is right." Tamash looked at her, understanding the meaning of her words. "That is what guides me. Duty and care, princess. Nothing else." Alara nodded, a quiet smile on her lips. "I have learned much from you. Not just about the desert, but about trust and courage. I will never forget this day." The night fell, and the caravan set up camp near a small oasis. Fires were lit, and the desert wind whispered softly over the sand. Tamash and the princess sat together, sharing a meal he had prepared. She asked him more questions about his world and his travels. Each answer revealed not just knowledge but experience, patience, and strength. "You teach more than survival," Alara said softly. "You teach understanding, and that is far more important than anything else." Tamash looked at her, seeing the gratitude and respect in her eyes. "If one can survive, one can also help others. That is how strength matters." For the first time, the princess realized that her admiration for him went deeper than curiosity. She respected his skills, his calm in danger, and his unwavering care for others. The bond between them grew stronger, formed not through words alone, but through shared experiences and the understanding that courage and wisdom could inspire trust and admiration in anyone. As the stars appeared above the desert, Alara and Tamash sat quietly by the fire. The events of the day left an impression on both of them. The princess had seen the truth of a human's strength, not through force alone, but through bravery, skill, and the care shown for those around him. Tamash had witnessed the princess's curiosity and courage, her willingness to learn and trust even in the face of danger. The desert night was calm, and the caravan slept. But in the quiet between the fires and the stars, a new understanding took root. Both human and princess knew that the days ahead would hold more challenges, yet they also knew that together they could face them. The bond of trust and respect they had formed in the face of trouble would guide them through whatever the desert or the world beyond might bring. The caravan moved cautiously through the desert as dawn broke, painting the sand in shades of gold and pink. Tamash walked at the front, alert to every shift of wind and every trace on the sand. The events of the previous day had left the princess thoughtful, and she rode beside him in silence, watching him guide the caravan with steady skill. For the first time, Alara realized that she had begun to depend on him not just for safety, but for wisdom. His presence gave her confidence, and his calm mind made her feel grounded in a world that often felt overwhelming. She had learned much from him: how to watch the desert, how to care for the animals, and how to act without panic. But she also felt something deeper, a connection that could not be ignored. By mid-morning, the distant outline of another dune ridge appeared, and Tamash paused. He studied the horizon carefully. "There is movement ahead," he said quietly. We must prepare. It could be raiders returning or another rival group. Alaro leaned forward, concern in her eyes. Do we have time to avoid them? No, Tomash replied calmly. We must face them. The desert allows no hesitation. As the caravan approached, a group of armored figures emerged from behind the dunes. Their weapons glinted in the sunlight. Tomash assessed their formation quickly. They were fewer than the rival tribe from before, but their position was strategic, blocking the path forward. Kiro, the rival leader, stepped forward again, his voice echoing across the sand. Human, the princess belongs with her people. Turn back, or you will face consequences. Tomash did not flinch. We will not turn back. The princess travels by choice, and I will protect her. The guards tensed, ready for conflict. The princess gripped the reins of her beast, her heart steady but aware of the danger. She watched Tomash carefully, noting how he studied the enemy, calculating their moves with precision. She knew that the outcome depended on his decisions. Kiro raised his voice again. You will regret this. We will not allow outsiders to guide our royal line. Tomash stepped forward, placing himself between the princess and the approaching warriors. We do not wish for war, he said. But we will defend ourselves. If you attack, the consequences are yours to bear. The rival warriors hesitated, recognizing Tomash's calm confidence. He did not act out of fear or anger. Every movement he made was measured, showing strength and control. Alara realized that courage was not just about fighting, it was about knowing what to do and standing firm when others might falter. The rival tribe advanced cautiously, testing the caravan's defenses. Tomash moved among the guards, giving clear instructions. Hold the line here. Protect the animals. Keep the princess safe at all times. He noticed a small opening in their formation and quickly adjusted the guards' positions. With careful steps, he ensured that the princess remained at the center, safe from harm. Alara's heart raced, but she felt trust in him. She knew he would not let anything happen to her. The warriors charged suddenly, but Tomash was ready. He signaled the guards to raise their spears and form a solid wall. The clash was brief, intense, and disciplined. Tomash moved among the defenders, guiding them with precise directions, using his staff to redirect an attacker who tried to breach the line. The rival warriors faltered under the organization and calm of the caravan. Alara watched in awe. She realized that Tomash's strength came not only from skill but from his mind. He thought ahead, anticipating danger, and protecting those around him. Her admiration deepened into respect and trust, and she felt a quiet sense of safety she had never known before. The skirmish ended as the rival warriors retreated, recognizing that they could not succeed. Kiro glared at Tomash, frustrated but unwilling to continue the fight. The caravan remained intact, and the princess was safe. When the danger passed, Alara dismounted and approached Tomash. You have done it again, she said softly. I have never seen anyone face danger like you. You do not fight for pride or glory. You fight to protect others. Tomash shook his head slightly. It is not for pride. It is for duty. I cannot stand by when those I protect are in danger. Alara looked at him, her eyes filled with admiration. I wish I could be as brave as you. But more than that, I wish I could choose my path like you do. You have freedom, yet you use it to help others. Tomash studied her quietly. Freedom is a gift, princess, but it comes with responsibility. What we choose matters more than what we are given. She nodded, understanding his meaning. For a moment, the desert was silent around them, the wind carrying the faint sounds of the retreating warriors. She realized that her admiration had grown into something more personal. She wanted to make choices for herself, guided by her own mind, and she saw in Tomasz an example of how one could live freely while protecting others. That evening, the caravan reached a plateau with a small grove of desert shrubs. Fires were lit, and the animals rested. Alara sat beside Tomasz as he prepared a simple meal. She spoke of the choices she had faced in her life, of duties and expectations that had never allowed her to act freely. "You have shown me another way," she said. "A way where courage and wisdom guide decisions. Where one can act without fear and still respect others." Tomasz looked at her quietly. "That is the choice each of us must make. Courage and wisdom are learned through experience. You have the strength to make your own choices, Princess." Alara felt a warmth in her chest. She had never heard words like these from anyone in her world. Most people followed rules or tradition without question. Tomasz had shown her a different path, one where respect, trust, and care for others guided decisions. As the night grew darker, they sat together by the fire, the stars shining brightly above the desert. The princess reached out and lightly touched Tomasz's hand. "I wish I could make choices like you every day," she whispered. Tomasz met her gaze, understanding the weight of her words. "You can, Princess. You may face challenges, but you can choose your path. Courage and care will guide you if you follow what is right." Alara smiled, a quiet determination in her eyes. She realized that the bond between them had grown stronger through shared danger, trust, and understanding. She had learned not just survival skills, but the value of wise choice, courage, and respect. The desert night was calm, and the caravan rested. Yet in the quiet between the fires and the stars, both Tomasz and Alara knew that the choices they had made today would shape their journey. The bond of trust and respect would guide them through future challenges, and the lessons learned in the desert would remain with them forever. For the first time, the princess felt that she could act for herself, guided by the example of a human who had shown bravery, wisdom, and care. Tomasz had not only protected her life but had also inspired her to seek her own path, and in that moment, she understood the true power of choice. The desert was calm at dawn, the sky painted with soft shades of pink and gold. The caravan moved steadily, guided by Tomasz as always. The events of the past days had shaped the princess's understanding of him and herself. She rode beside him, alert but calm, her silver band glinting in the first sunlight. Princess Alara felt a new sense of confidence. She had learned much from Tomasz, not only about survival in the desert, about reading the wind and stars, but also about courage, wisdom, and choice. She had seen him face danger, protect others without hesitation, and teach with patience. His actions had left a lasting impression, and she realized that her life could be different if she chose it. "Guide," she said softly, "I have been thinking. My life has always been bound by duty, by what others expect of me. But you have shown me another way. A way where I can act with wisdom, care, and courage." Tomasz looked at her, his calm gaze steady. "That is true, Princess. Each choice you make shapes the path ahead. Courage and care guide the steps of those who wish to lead wisely." She smiled faintly, the warmth in her eyes reflecting the rising Sunday. "Then I choose to follow that path, to learn from what you have shown me, and to act with understanding." The day was long, and the caravan crossed dunes and valleys, the desert stretching endlessly. Tomasz moved ahead, guiding the beasts and checking the terrain, while the princess rode close, observing his methods and listening to his quiet explanations. She asked questions about the stars, about the animals, and about the distant lands he had seen. Each answer deepened her respect and admiration for him. At midday, they reached a plateau overlooking a wide valley. A small oasis gleamed below, its waters clear and inviting. Tomasz guided the caravan carefully down the slopes, ensuring the animals moved safely. The princess watched closely, noticing how he balanced speed with caution, how he read the land with precision. She realized that this attention to detail was what made him not just a guide, but a protector. When the caravan stopped to rest, Alara dismounted and walked toward Tomasz. She had a small bundle of herbs and fruit, gifts she had collected to help with the evening meal. Tomasz accepted them with a nod, impressed by her initiative. "You have learned quickly," he said. "You notice what others might miss. That is as important as skill with the fire or knowledge of the desert." The princess blushed slightly. "I have learned from the best," she said softly. "You have shown me that courage, patience, and understanding matter more than power or title." Tomasz prepared a small fire, using the skills he had taught her, while Alara helped arrange the food. Together, they cooked a simple meal, sharing laughter and conversation as they worked. The guards and servants watched quietly, surprised to see the princess so engaged in ordinary tasks, yet Tomasz never minded. He focused on teaching and guiding, just as he always did. As evening fell, the stars appeared, bright against the deep desert sky. Alara and Tomasz sat together by the fire, their meal finished. The warmth of the flames and the calm of the night created a peaceful moment, one that contrasted with the dangers they had faced. "You have changed my view of life, Tomasz," Alara said. "I have seen courage, wisdom, and care in action. I have learned that strength comes not from power or fear, but from understanding and protecting others." Tomasz nodded quietly. "That is true, princess. Strength without wisdom can harm. Strength with understanding can inspire and protect." The princess looked at him, her eyes reflecting the firelight. "I want to take what I have learned with me, to act with courage and care in all I do. Not just in the desert, but in my life as a princess and beyond." Tomasz gave a small smile. "That is a lesson that will serve you well. The choices you make will shape the lives of many, and you will carry strength wherever you go." The night deepened, and the desert was quiet except for the soft wind. Alara leaned back, feeling a sense of freedom she had never known before. Tomasz had not only protected her life, but he had shown her a way to act for herself, to make wise choices and to lead with care. She realized that her bond with him was more than respect or admiration, it was a connection that inspired her to be stronger and braver than she had ever imagined. The next morning, the caravan continued its journey. Tomasz guided them safely, moving with the practiced skill that had kept them alive through storms and attacks. Alara rode beside him, confident in her understanding of the desert and of herself. She asked questions, practiced her lessons, and made decisions with thought and care. Each step forward strengthened her bond with Tomasz and reinforced the lessons he had taught her. As they reached the edge of a wide plain, the valley below opened to a distant city, its walls glinting in the sunlight. The princess looked toward it, realizing that her journey through the desert had prepared her for more than survival. She was ready to face her responsibilities with wisdom, courage, and understanding. "You have done more than guide us through the desert," Alara said quietly to Tomasz. "You have prepared me for life, for choices, and for leadership. I will carry what you have taught me always." Tomasz looked at her, calm and steady as ever. "That is why I do what I do, princess. To guide and protect, but also to inspire courage and understanding. You have learned quickly, and you will continue to grow. The princess smiled, a mixture of gratitude and determination in her eyes. She realized that her admiration for Tomasz had grown into something deeper, a respect and bond that would endure. He had shown her the value of courage, patience, wisdom, and care. He had shown her that strength came not from fear or power, but from understanding and protecting others. As the caravan descended toward the city, the sun rising higher in the sky, Alara felt a sense of purpose she had never known. The lessons of the desert, the bond with the human who had guided her, and the courage she had found within herself would shape her life from that day forward. Tomasz walked beside her, silent and steady, guiding the caravan and ensuring their safe passage. The princess knew that the bond they had formed would remain, not just as teacher and learner, but as companions who had faced challenges together and emerged stronger. The desert stretched behind them, endless and beautiful, a witness to their journey. The caravan moved forward, carrying them toward new adventures, new challenges, and new choices. And in the heart of the princess, the lessons of courage, wisdom, and care would remain forever, a legacy shaped by a human who had shown her the true power of understanding, trust, and bravery.